Thank you, Bishop Joe. I just gave Father Scott a hug. He's from Surprise, Arizona, where it's nice and warm, where I'm used to being this time of year. Anyway, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. That was something Father Jim used to say to us a lot when he blessed us, and a lot of times when he wrote us letters. That was from Numbers. That was one of his favorites. So my name is Nancy Buthorn. I've lived in Olympia my entire life, which means I've been a parishioner my entire life, 75 years in fact. I received all the sacraments here for the first time, went to St. Michael's School for a few years, married my sweet husband Bill here in 1972, had 2 sons baptized here, and even taught at the school. This is my home. Bill and I have been quite involved with the church for several years. However, in 1997, we were assigned a new pastor, Father James Edward Lee. He was on a new adventure, and as a parish, so were we. He came with new, innovative ideas. Not all were accepted by everyone, however. He had his job cut out for him. I liked his progressive ideas, his thoughts for change, his confident attitude, and especially his attentiveness to Jesus. He was so spiritual. But later, as he opened up to me, I learned more. So who was this guy? A little kid from Chicago, had poor self-esteem, was bullied, thought he had no friends. He loved his family, his mom, dad, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. His sister Rita is here with us tonight, along with his niece Tara. But he had left home at an early age for the seminary, and with that, he had great memories of his mom. However, he lost his mom when he was about 21, and this left a big hole in his heart. So by then, he wasn't quite sure who he was and where he was going. When I met him, it didn't take me long to figure out that he was a man of God, a true gift. I had never met anyone like him. I wanted to know more of this guy who had grown into a very holy man. So I soon learned 3 things. He loved the Lord Jesus Christ and wanted everyone else to as well. Place God first in all things, he would tell us. Second, he came to us with many adventures, and he loved sharing what he knew. The Catholic faith was in his heart. And third, he just loved living. Traveling, seeing, and being with friends and family is what he lived for. He wanted to be loved. So first, he loved the Lord Jesus. If you ever attended Mass at St. Michael, you know how much he loved the Lord. He was a gifted speaker who brought us and himself to tears with his homilies. Do you remember how he would point to the crucifix and tell us that's where the truth lies? Do you remember the 5 and 5 rules? Do you remember how often he preached about reconciliation? And that's why you 2 are so busy, because he taught us. He would strive to bring us all to holiness. He would say, we can all be saints. Wherever you were in your life struggles, Father Jim was with you. I don't know how he did it with so many people, but he did it. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't still be a practicing Catholic. I know that for sure. His faith, his kindness, and his patience stayed with him. And when Bill and I had tragedy strike our lives, he was the first one we called. But who was the first one we lashed out at? God. Even though it took several years for Father Jim, he was by our side every day, patiently praying for us, with us, and supporting us, bringing us slowly, slowly, slowly back to the sacraments, back to God. No pressure, just love. We walked together in our suffering, and that was a true gift. By the time we met him, though, he had already had many adventures, Maryknoll, motorcycle trips, skiing. But through these adventures, he learned he wanted to share his faith with others, especially the youth. So soon after he was assigned to St. Michael's, he brought Life Team to us. Teens and adults alike worshiped together. We learned about adoration. We learned about the Bible. We had Bible studies. I'd never had that stuff. We learned about the Mass. We learned about the sacraments. And he loved sharing his Catholic faith and Life Team activities because that was just one way he could do that, was through the Life Team. Bill and I were confirmation catechists at the time, so we were already quite involved. But it was amazing how much we learned in our classes, retreats, and workshops. Father Jim was a gift. The nice thing about him, though, he was human. He loved living. I grew up in a family of 6 girls, no brother. I always wanted a brother, and it was early on in our relationship where he just kind of adopted himself into our family. He began coming over regularly. We soon learned that neither one of us could cook, but Bill could, and Father Jim liked the fact that he could cook. And so they soon became buds, close friends. Beer, wine, barbecue, that all worked for them. And he knew my mom. He loved Grandma Lou. He knew all of my sisters. He had been to their houses for dinners and parties. He'd spent many days and weeks on vacation with Bill and myself. He was family to us. But he loved dinners out with all of you too. And he loved going places with you. And he loved living. He especially loved skiing in Colorado and going on Germany trips with Father Gary and Bishop Joe. Like I said, he just loved living. Bill and I were fortunate to attend 5 European pilgrimages with him. Wonderful learning experiences on our pilgrimages, as many of you know, having had that same experience. But Father Jim and Bill and I extended one trip, so just the 3 of us could go to Bruges, Belgium, where we visited all the churches and explored all the brew pubs. We took him on a trip through Canada and explored more brew pubs. And then on a trip to California to see the missions, where we explored more brew pubs. And of course, he spent a week or 2 at our winter home in Arizona every year for the last 14 years. There he could ride his bike, see our buddy Father Scott, other friends, go to spring training, take hikes, and even go swimming in my sister's pool, and just be part of the family. In a letter he wrote to us after his ALS diagnosis, he put it so eloquently. As I write this, I'm overwhelmed with emotion. How can I ever adequately express how much you mean to me? You are closer than family. You are more than friends. You are truly my sister and my brother in ways that I've never experienced. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you for welcoming not only into your home, but into your hearts. Thank you for the many meals shared, for the glasses of beer drunk, the wine sipped, and the whiskey relished. Thank you for sharing of your friends and family with me and allowing me in their lives as well. Thank you for hugs and cards and gifts, for always feeling welcome and at home with you. You mean so much to me. Father Jim loved living. He loved being loved. And he loved being loved by all of you. And he was a gift. For 20 years before ALS, he did a lot for our parish. He expanded this campus, expanded programs. He worked hard with the school staff and the kids. We had a few, if you can remember, faith-raising campaigns. He welcomed and we welcomed the new vicars and shared them with him. We loved them too. But things changed in 2017. In April that year, he called me in Arizona and said he was so tired and was having leg cramps. He was going to go to Scotland with dear friends Pat and Russ, who are here tonight, but he was exhausted. And he said, it was just so sad on the phone, could I just come to Arizona and rest? Well, Bill and I said, of course. So he was on a plane the next day. And he did rest. And he soaked up the sun. And when we returned to Olympia, he seemed better. However, the next couple months, his sweet priest friends from his Caritas group listened as he told them he was getting arm twitches plus other little things. And they advised him to see a doctor. Well, he did. And so in mid-November, we were on a road trip back to Arizona. Father Jim was with us. And I said, hey, Padre, what'd the doctor say? There was silence, not a word. I looked at him. He was driving. So I waited. And if you've ever talked to Father Jim and asked him a question and he waited and waited and waited for the answer, you know what I mean. But all of a sudden he said, I have ALS. And I knew what this was. And I looked at Bill. Bill looked at me, and we both had tears streaming down our face. How could this be? He was so healthy and so adventurous. Well, it was. And later he told us, just like Bishop Joe said, this is not a cross. It is just an inconvenience. Now we've all heard that for the last 7 years. He immediately asked us for help. One of the first things he wanted to do was put together a support group. He had already told Father Gary and Bishop Joe, so Bill and I were sworn to secrecy, this is in November, until he could finalize his team, which would have been January. So he went back to Olympia to begin implementing his plans, and we were staying in Arizona for Thanksgiving. 5 days later, Bill and I had a police visit, telling us our youngest son, Andrew, had been murdered. Well, I didn't know what to do, but my sweet husband did. He called Father Jim, just that fast, and Father Jim was just as sweet as could be. We were so numb and so angry that we lashed out at God, and I kept saying, why? And Father Jim took control, and in his sorrow took our suffering with his and walked with us. He has taught us to suffer well. He always told me when I asked why about anything that, Nancy, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. But why do you have ALS? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Why did Andrew die? It's a mystery. Why did Bill get cancer? It's a mystery. Thanks. But I listened. And like I said, he brought us back to God in a very loving way. He had his own suffering. We had ours. But he told Bill and myself, we can do this together. So that year, beginning in December, we had the team assembled. And for the last 7 years, we have met every month for dinner. Even during COVID, we sat outside with Father Lou, joining us for dinner meetings. But at first, Father Jim's symptoms were very slow, and he called it slow-mo. And he would apologize at meetings because he didn't need anything. He says, I'm sorry, I called you. We're doing fine. Let's just have a good time. Okay. But as time went on, the team saw suffering. He was losing a little bit each week. My fingers don't work. My arms can't move like they used to. I have difficulty getting my coffee. I need help brushing my teeth. Soon it extended to his legs, his feet. Little things that soon were big things. So we would help him as a team create the next step, be it moving his bedroom from upstairs to downstairs, getting help in the mornings and evenings, adapting the sleep area, using a recumbent-type bike, using a wheelchair. The ALS support team was there to help whenever we could. God had created this team, but also helped the Buthorns in our suffering. We suffered together. But as time went on, Father Jim needed more and more help each day, and many of you helped with dinners every night. The team took him to medical appointments. We spent nights in the rectory so he wouldn't be alone. We put drops in his eyes when he had cataract surgery. We made holy days and holidays special, coming to our places for Thanksgiving and Christmas. His birthday was on January 1st, and it was always a big celebration and important to all of us. The staff was there also at all hours, helping with personal needs and companionship. He depended on our staff a great deal. They were wonderful to him. Deacon John and Deacon Rob were there to help with masses. Some of you were on the wheelchair team when you needed that. He was loved, he lived well, he wanted to keep going, and he wouldn't give up. He was a gift. The support team loved him so much, and we were there until his dying day. And he will be with all of us until we meet again. And he would say, as you've all heard, I am blessed. Well, Padre, you are correct. You were blessed. But I can speak for all of us because of the gift you are. We are blessed. Thank you for all you've given, and Father Jim, I love you. Thank you.